Sorry, I'm late. I had to go clean up my front yard. Winter is here. It feels great outside here. It's like my favorite time of the year. Unfortunately, I had a lot of limbs and stuff in my front lawn, so I got here a little bit late. But let's jump in to some of your questions. Hold on, I'm scrolling through the chat. Let me catch up here. The burning topics. I'm doing great. Thanks for asking. I appreciate that. First question is, let me get a drink of coffee. Hold on. I'll give me some coffee before we get started here. The first question is, when does a relationship become exclusive? A relationship becomes exclusive once you're both in agreement that you want it. You want the same thing in the relationship, right? So if you both sit down and you say to yourself, are we committed here? Is this what we want to do? And you exclusively say you're not seeing. Do you want to see other people still, or are you ready for it to just be us? I mean, make it very clear that you want it to just be the two of you. Just say, I like to say, or you should say, hey, I've met my match. You're it. Someone asked right after that, where's the best place to meet people? Best place to meet people is either out and about. Work relationships are okay, especially when you're in your 30s, because it means you're both doing the same thing. If you meet somebody doing the same type of job, it means you probably share the same type of intelligence and things like that. So, but to your question, I would say, if you both have intimate feelings and whatnot, and you both say, I don't want to see anybody else, I don't either, let's be together. Some people need to say that, and some people just know it. You're spending every day together. I had a friend, she had her dating profile still up, so the guy assumed she was still dating. She never logged into it. I even asked her one time, like, hey, do you still have your dating profile? And she said, yeah. She's like, messages coming all the time. I think I found the guy I want to be with. I'm not worried about it. She's just one of those people. She wasn't like detailed oriented where she felt the need. I need to get on there. I need to delete it. She just let the subscription expire, and that's when it disappeared. And the guy had taken it the wrong way, but they talked about it and whatnot. And that's a lesson here to learn, that once you feel something, like you're getting hurt by somebody, just get to the table and talk to them. 9 times out of 10, it might take 2 to 3 conversations, a couple meetings, but you will get rid of those feelings. You will get, some of those insecurities knocked out or whatever. So let's see. Sorry, I'm jumping around here. No, you don't need to use the word monogamy. Would it be in ancient times? I mean, come on. Just say to the person, okay. All right. What is the best advice for singles to meet somebody? And if you've already met somebody, what's the best way to let them know you do think they're the one? Okay. So another one, it's like, how do you become exclusive, or how do you know when you're exclusive? And this is like, how do you know? Well, I have a video on it. In fact, the girl I was dating, it was one of the videos that she loved. It was the one. How do you know you found the one? And it gives some quintessentials in there. Now, I had somebody comment on that video, and I don't know if the comment's still there, but someone had said, hey, a lot of these things happened for me and things are going really good, and then we started fighting and whatnot. Does that take away from them being the one? No, it does not. Okay. The only way someone really doesn't become the one is if you fall out of love, some kind of violence happens or something ridiculous. But and I can't say this enough, struggles are normal. Okay. Struggles are normal. It's okay to take a couple days off. It's okay to get back to it. I've said this in I think both of my videos this week. You got to be, so if you're talking about how do you meet people, you got to be conductive. You're looking for what's congruent to what you want, right? Now, and I'll answer your question. I mean, I saw your question because this kind of goes with it. So I'm going to answer both of y'all's questions. The other person asked, if you're single, how do you meet somebody? Okay, you guys are starting to talk back to each other now. you want to date someone who's congruent. What's important here, though, is that you understand the difference between someone being like you and someone being compatible to you and someone being complementary to you. Complementary and compatibility go together. Okay, jump my words. I need to drink more coffee, but they go together. They'll tell you the same thing. What you don't want to do, actually, yeah, yeah, I do have my watch on. But compatibility and that stuff go together. And what you're looking for here when this kind of stuff happens is being too alike is not a good thing. So if you're both emotional people, it's probably not going to work. And in a typical relationship, it doesn't mean like when something goes down, they're emotional, but in typical stuff, one person has to be very, very grounded. And you'll notice some of the best relationships have the person who's the more emotional and the person who's grounded like a rock, right? I consider myself very steady. I have my moments where I get upset or anything like that, but they're very far and in between. And when they happen, they can peak and then I'm kind of over it and I don't revisit that for a while. And, I kind of try to, when I talk to people, I talk in the same tone almost all the way through. You don't want to get crazy with people. But you'll notice if you look at couples who are successful at dating, one of the things they're really successful at is that they seem to not sweat the small stuff, ride the waves. That's going to be one of my videos. Hey, you saw that. Yeah, one of the people commented. I knew you'd pick up on that. If you watch my videos 5 to 10 times, a lot of the stuff is condensed in what I'm saying right now, right? Those videos are about the specific subjects in detail. I give people on these live sessions, I give you very broad stroke information. People who are like, oh, I'm trying to get my ex back, or, he left me and I don't know why, and all that kind of stuff I talk to people about. One thing I'm getting asked like over and over and over in the chat right now is, how do I get my ex back? He hasn't talked to me in a month. Okay, I talked a little bit about this yesterday, but I think it was a guy trying to get a girl. This is a girl trying to get a guy. Look, the deal with exes is, and we're all guilty of it, your first instinct is, I love you. What can I do? And then you kind of calm down and then you think about things and then you think about how to say them without being emotional. Some people disappear. Some people are all up in your grill. It just depends on who you're dating. When I look at these other coaches, and I've actually, done a joint session with somebody on their channel about the subject. I told the other coach I was talking to, I said, look, this coach, we debated, but I said, this coach is about how to pick up women, how to pick up men, how to get them interested in you and whatnot. And I always make a focal point on my channel to say, I don't give a shit about that stage, right? Dating is a game in the first 3 dates, and that's it. Once you're past that game is over. So this whole and there are things you should do, like the no contact rule. You only do that when you've been dumped. You go cold. And but once they reach out to you, you're supposed to respond back. The no contact rule is not a torture device. You don't sit there and go, I'm going to make them sweat. Love is not a game. Said this yesterday, you guys. You did not watch my videos. I don't care what you're saying. So the girl named Jessica, go watch my video again. I can tell you're confused about the information. Sounds like you're a little emotional right now about what's going on. Completely understandable. And if you want to talk to me after this, I'll talk to you. But yeah, that's how it kind of goes. So next question. Okay. How can you have better sex with your partner? What better sex looks like can only be defined by you and your partner, actually. But you can amp it up. I always say amp it up. You can try new positions, obviously. Throw some dirty words in there, Sometimes they might be caught off guard, like, whoa, what? You haven't done this before. But then let them, slowly adapt to it. As a man, to me, it's my prerogative to always be working on enriching my sex life with my girl, because I want her to feel like, hey, we will always find new ways and new things to get excited about, okay? And be open with each other about your desires. If you have a fantasy, say it. Don't be afraid to say it. How do you ask for the sex you want? Sex, like anything else, you enjoy together. So it requires conversation. Sex is not you're either good or bad in the bedroom. Now, I'm sorry if some of you men out there, you're not the right size. I can't do anything for you. And Women, you just kind of have no rhythm. I can't help you on that. You need to go see someone physical. But if we're talking about just the other stuff, some people like toys, some people like food, some people like stuff like that. There's nothing wrong with that, but it's not for everybody. Some people just like straight bodies and sex, right? So, biggest relationship question about online dating and apps. So they're asking me about profiles. How do you write a good dating profile? Well, complete the full profile, answer all the questions. People want to see if you're enthusiastic. They want to uncover a few interesting details about you. Equally as important is you always upload at least 3 to 5 pictures. If for men, show your head without a hat. Stop taking pictures in the freaking mirror. Women like a 6-pack when they're actually in front of you and they can touch it. They don't get an F about it when you put it on a freaking photo. Most women are looking for husbands and fathers to be future fathers of their children. They're not looking for a guy to hook up with who is a show off. You'll look like a guy who's a cheater if you come off like that if you're a guy. When selecting the photos, use something recent. I would say within 2 years. Okay. I mean, look, we all don't have like a picture from yesterday, but look, we live in a world now where we all have phones. So use your phone. Don't forget, always edit your profile, check your spelling, know your grammar. Women are very particular on grammar. And what I mean by that is they don't particularly care. Like if you're just texting each other during the day and you typo, it happens all the time. But if you take the time to write a profile that's going to represent you every day and it's stagnant, it's there, it's written, like make sure it's written right. Okay. Know where your commas go, know your abbreviations correctly. But lastly, give good personal details, create some insight to yourself. For women, when it comes to photos, someone's asking what about photos for women versus men. Men, like I said, get out of the freaking mirror. Stop showing all your fishing and hunting photos. Girls don't care that you freaking, are sitting there with an animal's head. They don't care. They don't want to see fishing. A woman wants to see what kind of man you are if you're talking to her and you're sitting down at a table with her. That's what they want to know. Okay. But leave a little bit like there for desire. For men, you need to have a mission, a purpose, and some mystery to you. You don't just come all out and tell a woman everything you're about. I'm a guy, I put all cards on the table, like when I was dating. I'd put it all out there. The girl got to know everything. But I very vague know everything. What's your favorite hobby? I tell them. I don't say like what I do, what weekend I do it, what's my favorite thing when I'm doing it. You don't go on that crap. For women, you need to show your body. Men will not talk to women if they think you're holding back somewhere. Sorry, I saw your question too. If you're holding back somewhere, if women feel that you're not showing your whole body, if men feel you're not showing your whole body in your photos, they believe you're hiding something. If you're a man and you're wearing a hat, and a thing, they're going to think you're hiding balding. If you're in a photo, always saying they're going to think you're the type that you're a player, right? I've talked to some of the best looking women walking in my city, both dating and just, meeting to get to know like their thoughts on dating when I was first, like, especially when I was first trying to, get into coaching and whatnot. I want to get opinions so that my research combined with real world, what's happening right now, some people are very judgmental out there when you date, and some people are very open to understanding when you date. But women, if every photo is from here up and that's all you show in your photos, and the men sees this, or they see a side profile or whatnot, and they see you with your dog and they see that you're on vacation or whatever, they're going to assume that you are hiding weight, and men aren't attracted to that, right? Or if he goes on a date with you and you're heavy right when he arrives, he's going to feel fooled. Women don't like when men, don't show if they have a belly. They don't show if they're balding because they're always wearing a hat. And women don't want to see a photo from your high school yearbook. Okay. And men are bad about that. So they'll get there and they'll be just kind of taken back. Like, what the hell was that? So you don't want to do that. Next question, biggest relationship questions about modern dating. That's actually a really good question. In today's world, online dating is like the norm, right? A study showed that 50 to 60% of people find their mate online. I found my person online. There's no shame in that. People shouldn't care about that. I like to weed out a lot of criteria. So when I meet you, we're already halfway there, So if I meet you and I've talked to you on the phone and I think you're attractive and that's all good. So I would say it's better to accept that digital romance is here. Like you can't avoid that now. But The next question is, how long do you message and wait before meeting in person? I love this question, actually. So here's the deal. When you're dating, one phone call, two messages. Okay. So when I first meet someone, I'll message them. They'll say something back. I've already read their profile, already know some of their criteria, right? And then the next message is setting up the phone call. And I'll initiate that. As a guy, you should initiate the phone call. Don't sit there and be that man who's, weak and doesn't step up. Use your alphaness. If a woman is communicating with you, it means she's open to you having a set time to talk to her. So set up the thing. Now, when you're on the phone, only talk 20 to 30 minutes max. Now, I know some of us, we meet people that were like, I love this person. I could talk all night. And sorry, I left that on. And we could talk all night, but it's real important that you don't always do that. So, okay, let's see what else. So what do you do after you've talked on the phone? Well, once you've talked on the phone, your next thing is you should be setting up the next opportunity to have fun and get together and hook up. A lot of people will look at that like, oh my God, like I shouldn't sleep with someone on the first date or whatnot. Go with whatever makes you feel comfortable. Okay. Some people have like this rule book where they go into a date and they're very like, well, I'm not really sure. Like if I meet them too early, they're checking their watch. Like, oh, I know I got to be home at a certain time or whatnot. That means one of two things. They are a very uptight person because they've already made rules going into a date that they have no idea how it's going to go, or they're uninterested. Okay. If a woman is, looking for the check and ready to go at a certain point in time during the date, she's probably pulling out. And if a man is sitting there and not talking much and you're doing all the talking and you're asking him questions about his life and he's giving you very short answers, he's waiting for the date to be over. He's not interested in you. I've been on dates where I've done both. I've been on dates where I could tell the girl, or the woman or whoever I was dating, and we get to a certain point, we'd cross a certain question, and that wasn't the answer they were looking for. And a lot of people go, oh, well, you don't want to make those mistakes in the beginning and whatnot. Absolutely not. You want to get rid of people quick who just aren't going to be a fit regardless. And I've been on dates where women are talking to me and following up with me after the date, and I have to let them know I'm not interested. Sometimes rejection can make people work harder, unfortunately, but it happens. Next question. Let's talk about long-term dating. So give me some questions about long-term dating. How do you build trust in a relationship? Okay, I answered this yesterday. I'll answer it again. We have all experienced a breach in trust at some time, betrayal by the person that we love. It's happened to all of us. Cheating carries a much bigger hit. And let's define cheating, because I think there are different people look at cheating differently. Cheating is real easy. Would you be doing the same thing if the person was looking over your shoulder? If you're getting a text from a woman who if she knew that woman was messaging you, she would be uncomfortable because she thinks that the intentions, it may not have anything to do, but the intentions of the woman are not good. And women know this. Women aren't oblivious to that other women, if you're desirable, if they wanted you, why do you think they think other women want? They might want you too. So they're going to be like kind of questioning that. But if you're going to build that trust, you want to build trust in a partnership. It comes down to trusting when betrayal does happen, or if it does happen, each person is committed to the process of repair. Okay? I'm going to say that one more time. Committed to the process of repair. Think about that for a second. Let me get my drink. It is so important, and I'm going to say this in every video I probably ever do, that you are committed to resolving the problem. Okay? That doesn't mean the day it happens, the moment it happens, but I'm a 72-hour, 1 week max, okay, person. If 1 week happens and that person has not come to the table, they do not want to fix it. Either they're not interested, they're too hurt, they're confused, they're unsure, or they're looking for you to do something overwhelming that really makes them go, okay, like I made you sweat long enough, you worked long enough. And that's okay too. So, but this means each person takes a relationship responsibility for acknowledging that mistakes happen. It takes time to get past some of these mistakes. And they need to move forward and repair it. And hopefully it strengthens your relationship because, look, cheating is really hard to get over. Okay, I don't know how many right now that are asking about long terms. I have you all categorized right now. That's why I like this app, and I don't use the YouTube chat. That's why yeah. So on my app, it actually, when you send a message to chat on there, it actually goes to this app versus showing up on my feed, on the YouTube feed. Yeah, so that's why you can't see it. Mm-hmm. Hi, Shelly. Looks like Shelly joined us. Right. So, anyways, the burning question is, I think that this all comes down to love, right? So if you're looking for love and what true love is, and I have a video coming out and it's called True Love. I think I'm going to put it up maybe Monday. And I've already got that one done, and because I got a lot of questions about that. Look, a lot of people right now, I think this is the time of year where a lot of relationships go through turmoil. And a lot of people don't know why. Why is July through November the hardest months on relationships? That's because expectations grow immensely during this time, right? A lot of relationships get snapped. A lot of relationships, people take a dive and then find out they're not happy in what they took a dive into. And a lot of people find exactly what they were looking for. And right. And so someone's asking is, how do you know if it's a true lover, not just true love? Well, it's kind of the same thing. I mean, come on, man. If you want to be sure it's true love, you need to be together for a little while first, obviously. Love at first sight. Look, I'm not saying you can't fall for somebody at first sight. It just doesn't really happen like that. Not if you're really trying to find if your future's worth it. Because there's that lust phase in the beginning that usually lasts 3 months. So if you're with someone after 3 months, going good. If you miss them when you aren't together, is a great sign. You're both willing to work on the relationship no matter what. Okay. And you're going to keep hearing this repeated, like through it. No matter how much time has passed in this world, there is one thing that is constant. And that is people who love each other constantly work on it. They never give up. Okay. And they don't gain feelings of resentment. They don't feel trapped. They don't feel any of that. What they feel, you might feel hurt from time to time, but you don't feel like someone's like keeping you from your dreams or whatnot. And I'm a big proponent of someone who loves you, pushes you to work harder and be better. I don't, these people who believe in the notion of, they should accept me for who I am. Well, who are you? You grow every day. You should be. You grow every week. You grow every month. So if they only love you for who you are, well, in 6 months, when you want more, not just of them, but of the world, what's going to happen? But you can be authentic in a relationship, and you can allow yourself kind of to be seen. But you need to be perfect, and you need to lower your wall of defenses. Look, I went through something where somebody came back in my life, and I had to slowly lower my defenses because of events that happened past with us. But I knew in my heart I wanted to be with that person. And because of that, that was my ultimate goal. So what do we do when we think like that? Our ultimate goal is to repair, rebuild, and trust starts to reform. Okay. And that takes a while. It takes almost a year to really build back trust. So if you love somebody and you think you need to go back and work something out, just have the understanding it is going to take a while. So know that. And you need to effectively be able to work through agreements. One of my favorite lines I ever got advice on that I went and put more research into and put my own plan behind was learn how to fight better. Like become good at fighting. It's one of the best techniques you can learn, because if you become good at fighting, you're no longer hurt by every word you hear. You're only hurt by something if you feel like it's not incongruent with what you want. So you have to adjust it. But when you get good at fighting with somebody, and I know that sounds so weird to some of you, you're like, why would you ever want to be good at fighting? Because fighting happens. It's inevitable. So why not be good at it, right? Think about that. Can you effectively work through disagreements and work through stuff if the other person's not willing to? Well, obviously not. I mean, look, if somebody doesn't want to work on something with you, I mean, what are you doing? Look, what I do in my relationship is right. So what I like to start in my relationship, or if like I knew we were going to be together and work on having children, and we're talking about marriage and all that stuff's working up, one of the things I would implement in my relationship would be every Wednesday or Thursday, I want to have dinner at the dining room table, like the formal room that I have in my house. And I would say anything we need to talk about, let's use that opportunity to do it. And the reason that's very healthy for relationships is because you're going to sit there every Thursday. So whatever you don't solve that Thursday can be continued the next Thursday. It doesn't have to be, I didn't get what I want. I don't know when we're going to talk about it. It squashes all that kind of shit, right? Gives you a good opportunity to knock stuff out. This girl says, I dumped a guy and now I want him back. It's been 4 months. Oh, this is the same girl from earlier. Oh, I'm sorry. Did I not answer your question? Is that what it is? Or do you have more to it? Okay. You said 3 months earlier. 3 or 4? She says it around either or, somewhere in between. Okay. And now you want him back and you're putting yourself out there a little bit and he's not responding. Keep trying. Look, man, when we burn people, you need to make a concerted effort to let them know that you're not just going to poke up, be like, hi, I miss you. Do you miss me too? And if they say no, you're going to run. What they're looking for is for you to really put in the work. When you burn somebody, let me ask you this, did he try to get back with you? Yes, he did. Okay. Yeah. So you have to put in the work. You hurt the guy and he tried to get back with you. He's very intelligent. He's well kept. He has a great job. So he's a catch. So not only did you mess up with a guy, you messed up with a catch. Okay. She's asking what kind of qualities tell me that I should be trying to get back with him. Am I wasting my time? First of all, when you love somebody, you're never wasting your time. Ever. Don't ever think that. Why would you waste your time with someone you love? If you love somebody, you're doing everything right. Okay. So the subject is right now, I just saw like 5 or 6 people just joined. The subject is she's asking, she dumped a guy and she's asking, it's been 4 months and she's reaching out, trying to let him know she wants him back. And he's basically not responded thus far. Well, when men don't respond, it's very different than when women don't respond. There's a couple of reasons here. When men don't respond, it's either they don't believe you or they want more from you in the sense of they want to see you use the womanly charm. Hey, baby, I really miss you. Let me throw something out there. Will you please meet me for dinner? Let's just have a good time. I don't want to talk about anything serious, but I just want to see you. I miss the way we feel together. I miss her. Put something charming out there, right? And you don't have to use the word baby or anything. You just, whatever's charming to you inside that relationship, whatever charm equals for your relationship, if you want him back, that's what you're going to have to do. Whereas women, when they get burned, they need a man to kind of put full, faith and credit out there in gestures. A man basically needs to, in the beginning, send 1 to 2 messages to try to set up a date to get out so y'all can meet each other and have some good conductive conversation. But once that doesn't work, you wait to hear back from her. And if she sends you anything, even if she sends you a period, if she sends you a thumbs up, if she just sends you a hi, but says nothing else, take that opportunity with that woman to ask her out on a date, to try to get things going. May happen, may not happen. You'll just have to see, but it's a good way to do it. And then once you do that, you'll know. Have a good day. That one guy, another guy. Nice screen names. I'm guessing you guys are from the same country, same thing. But we're talking about people who have cheated. Yeah, we're talking about people who have cheated right now. And for those of you who are joining us, I have a person asking, they dumped somebody and they're trying to find out what methods they should go about trying to get them. But yeah, definitely. So here's the deal. Yeah, you can do that. So when you're trying to get someone back, if you got dumped, if you did the dumping or you got dumped. Okay, so if you did the dumping, right, if you did the dumping, you have to basically go and put your feet on the coals a little bit and say, hey, I was a jackass. I shouldn't have done that. Meet me out tonight. And exactly. And then you'll kind of go from there. If that doesn't happen and you got dumped, you don't do anything. You go cold. Like you radio effing silent if you got dumped, and you wait to hear from them, and you wait to get a message that you care about. But out of 3, if they hit you up 1 to 2 times, you need to respond to something. Otherwise, they're just going to freaking bell. Like you're not going to keep them around. Yeah, they're not going to bell. So dating is just one of those things where if you did the dumping, it requires X, Y, and Z. And if you got dumped, if you got dumped, radio freaking silent. Yeah. That's what you do. You go radio silent. Yeah, you just back out. You give them a chance to come back in, and you see how that goes. And if you did the dumping, you got to put forward, I was a jackass. This is what I did. But even then, when you do the dumping, you give them 1 to 2 opportunities to meet them out. So you set up a date. Look, when a woman contacts you, because this is a man asking me now. When a woman contacts you, you take that opportunity. She's giving you good feminine energy. What's feminine energy? Feminine energy is when women communicate. It's your job as an alpha male to put that into work and set up a date to meet. Don't sit there and chit chat over effing electronics for a year with a woman, okay? Women don't want to chit chat with you all day, and you're killing the ability to get together, have fun, and hook up. And ultimately, your goal with anybody should be is to build an intimate relationship, not an electronic one, okay? I don't care. I love YouTube. I love Facebook and whatnot, but our whole point when we meet other humans is to sit at a table with them and build a relationship, okay? With a lot of my viewers, a lot of people I talk to, is you need to make sure you're on the same page. So somebody's asking me now, okay, I have a third-party chat and I have the YouTube chat, so I'm going back and forth between the questions that are being asked. But someone's asking over here, I haven't heard from she said, I haven't heard from the guy in 3 weeks, another one. I haven't heard from my guy in 3 weeks. Is it over? Should I keep pursuing him? No, you should not keep pursuing him. And you dumped him. But it sounds like you tried to work things out. Look, the entire point of a relationship is to freaking talk. Okay? You should have a sentiment of resolve, and so should the other person. Love doesn't work in a vacuum. It's either there, or you're hurt and reserved, or you're gone. Right? You got kind of like a couple of gears there. When you get into a gear of they're gone, you're not going to hear from them, period. But what's going to happen is, and this goes for men, specifically for men here, the average man out there has no idea what he's doing when he dates women. If you ask them, what are the 3 questions you ask a woman on a date? Once you're with a woman over a year, what kind of habits are good to get into? They can't answer those kind of questions. Those men will fuck up. And guess what? She will call you again. I guarantee it. If you had a long-term relationship with a woman, when that next guy fucks up, you're going to be the safe zone. She's going to give you a call back. If you had a meaningful, good relationship. If you had a shitty relationship, you're not going to get anything back, right? So, how do I give a donation? You click on the donation link below in my thing. I'm drinking coffee. You can buy me a cup of coffee. $3. Yeah. What, LA Beast? Yeah, LA Beast. Me and LA Beast chat every once in a while. I'll chime in on his live chats or what. Me and LA Beast go a little far back. No, we don't live in the same area. We just when he does live chat, I'll jump on his stuff sometimes. We'll talk about life. Yeah. So, other relationship questions. Here we go. Let me get on the other ones that we got. Hold on. I'm going through I have a third-party app connected to this where other people are chatting too. What about women who like to be the center of attention? Drama. Women like their drama. You don't want to date a woman like that. You know, look, relationships aren't about equality. And let me tell you something right now. If you're looking for a relationship that's 50-50, you're going to be sorely disappointed in life. There is nothing on this earth that has equality built into it. Everything works on more of a compatibility and a complementary factor. So when you meet somebody, what's important there is that you're complementary to one another. I mean, you need to sit there and you need to have much more of a, put it this way. If you meet someone and they're good with money and you're not, that's complementary. So you can have some other factors that you're totally perfect in, but there's some areas where you're good at that. I'd rather you do that. I don't want to do this, right? It's it's not feng shui, but it's compatibility. So if you take the word equality out, if you take the word that's not fair, if you take the word are they for me, and you start plugging in the word compatibility, watch how many people don't make sense for you anymore and watch how many people start to make sense for you. When you're compatible, Someone asked, what are compatible? How do I know what compatible is? Well, compatible is when your core of who you are is the same, right? So if you're a person that likes to go out and have coffee and talk with people, then you need to be with someone who obviously enjoys leisure time and conversation. You don't go date someone who loves going to the pub and needs to be out all hours of the night. That's going to be a very awkward thing. Do introverts and extroverts go together? No, they don't, actually. The only time they work, extroverts and introverts, is if one of them is an ambivert. And if you don't know what an ambivert is, it's a mix of both. My name is Mrs. I'm really good with money, and I'm terrible, but it works real well. Nice. That's nice. Yeah. So anyways, keep asking her what other questions you got. Definitely. How do I get girls to call me back after a first date? It's a good question. Yeah, this is a donation thing. So the people are doing the donations are going to the top of the list. So if you're asking questions, I get answered. Sorry. How do you get a girl to call you back after a first date? First of all, you let her know you enjoyed the date, and you say, I'd like to see you again. And that's it. Okay. Don't fall into the freaking trap where you barrage women. Women are women can feel very unsafe very quick. So if you barrage a woman with a ton of texts after a date, she's going to think you're nuts. Same thing though. There are women out there who right away, they're like, I went on a date. It's probably, 5-7 years ago. And I went on a date with a girl and we were out having a good time. But when we started talking about questions, wasn't like anything she was having to say. So I started to back out of the date and she became very offended and started basically just getting real uncomfortable during the date. So anyways, so she goes home or whatever. And then she sends me a message, says, I really enjoyed the date. So let me ask you a question. Would you go out with that girl again or not? No. Now, most men are going to go, well, hey, it's an opportunity to hook up with a girl. Why not? Well, that depends. Are you looking to hook up or are you looking to have a meaningful relationship? Look, I don't give a shit about hookup artists, coaches who give you tips on how to get someone real quick. Look, any guy who's worth a shit and any woman who's worth a shit can go out to a bar tonight, can go out to a coffee shop tonight, see a woman at a table and go talk to her. And if you're a catch, you got a good job, you're well groomed, you know what you're doing. If you're a woman who's good looking, well spoken, you can go home with anybody. This isn't about getting people, it's about keeping them, right? Love's not a game. The first 3 dates are a game. After the first 3 dates, it's real. That's when, so someone asked me, how do I know when to call somebody? If you like them. Why would you put rules on your relationship and what you're doing? Okay, let me see what the next question is. How do I bring up marriage to a man? That's actually a great question. There we go. There's your answer. How do I bring up marriage to a guy? Really easy, over a general conversation. What you don't want to do with men is you don't want to sit down and go, hey, I need to have a serious conversation with you. Can we talk? And then when he gets there, be like, look, I need to know if you want to marry me or not. That's typically how a lot of women approach marriage. And a lot of men, it's not that they don't want to marry you, but that's very pressuring for a man. Remember, men are wired to procreate with anything that gives them opportunity. And they have a natural sense of hunting and freedom. The only time a man starts to change that tune is when he finds a woman who is compatible. Okay? Compatibility. Compatibility is everything. And a lot of times that's what's gonna blow that up. Yeah, you just got to be compatible. That's all you got to do, man. I mean, I don't know what other to put it to you. Hey, are you? You know what? I met you in New Orleans. I recognize your name. Did I? Yeah, I did. Hey, I'm going to be going there in November. Okay. Somebody's asking about what I had to say about building trust in a relationship. Biggest relationship question. Are you asking about being single? Is it better to be single or with somebody? Better to be with somebody. Look, humans were never meant to be alone. Fact. All right? Humans are better together. Being with the wrong human, going to bring out the worst in you. You're going to bring out the worst of them. Here's the deal. You can be two really great people in life. You can be, if someone's like, oh, I love that guy. He's really nice. Oh, I love that girl. She's so sweet to everybody. When you're not compatible, let's say you don't have the same religion. Let's say you don't believe in raising children the same. And let's face it, men, specifically, getting involved with a woman you're going to have kids with means you are tied to her and her family for the rest of your life. So you better damn sure be compatible if that's what you're going to make. But be an alpha, create your family, protect your ideals. But at the same time, make sure that's what she wants, right? Dating is a process of figuring out if the person is right for you. So it's really important that you date until you make sure it's right. And hey, if it's one of those things where you don't want to walk away from somebody, keep dating until you get it right and then get married, right? And that's okay. Should we move in? There's a question. Should we move in before we get married? Absolutely. Absolutely. Psychology shows over time and time again, couples who live together do much better in the end. I got a woman here who brought up a statistic. She said that statistics show that women do worse in marriage because more is expected of us. That, first of all, that statistic is true only with children. Actually, women who are married with men who don't actually have children live longer. There you go. No, I would say, there's 10 avenues to every question that's asked. What's he asking? Yeah. LA Beast, is he still in here? Me and LA Beast like to drive back and forth with each other sometimes on some of the things we say. How can you have better sex? This question was already asked. Look, it's really easy. Know what your partner likes and be curious. Throw in new words, throw in new habits, have fun. Look, sex is something that you should evolve on, right? It's not something that's like, this is how we do it, and that's the only thing I do. Women aren't going to be appeased by that. How do you ask a woman for sex on the date? You don't ask for sex on the date. You let the woman choose you. Look, women are choosers by nature. Women know what they want. Let me tell you something about dating. When you go on a date and you run into somebody, in 15 minutes, maybe 5, whether you would ever sleep with them, whether you're going to have a good date or not, right away whether sleeping potential is even there. Okay. Yeah. So yeah, I'll answer more of your question. And so when you go on the dates, they're asking like, well, how do I know if they want to have sex? Look, when a woman likes a man, first of all, she laughs at your jokes. She'll touch you, arm, back, whatever, smiles. Women tend to, when they like men, they sit with their head tilted at you and they shake their head every time you're talking like this. Women want you to know they are locked in and they like what you're having to say. Okay. Very important. Pay attention to that. First of all, you want a woman who laughs at your jokes. I mean, if a woman doesn't find you funny, there are 2 things women list that are the most important to them: a sense of humor and intelligence. Intelligence ranks above that, but a sense of humor needs to go with intelligence. If you're not an intelligent man, you better start working on that. It is the number 1 sought out trait by women. Not how tall you are, not what kind of job you have. Women look for intelligence because to women internally, they know their offspring will possess whatever intelligence they have. And let's face it, intelligence is what makes you survive and thrive. So, okay, I got enough time for a couple more questions. Am I doing more live segments? I usually do 1. They're usually paid. I'm doing kind of some public free ones this week, but I am open to it. I tell you what, I'll look at the success rate of these. Some of y'all are asking crazy questions. Have a good day. There's Mr. Ol LA Beast. How do you know when a woman likes you? I have a girl I'm talking to. I've sent her a couple of messages. She's responding back, but every time I ask her on a date, she doesn't actually set up the date. That tells me her interest is low right now. And that also tells me there's probably a male or orbiter floating around her, keeping her from committing to a date with you. Look, when you hit a girl up and she doesn't give you like a definite answer on a date, just tell her, hey, look, when your schedule frees up, let me know. That's it. I'd love to see you. And that's it. And give her a chance and some space. Let the other guys fuck up, which, like I said, the majority of men are going to mess up. The guys who have their shit together, who are alphas, who are on top of life, they're going to get that straight. So, So they're asking, but she messaged me back. She wants to go on a date. The day of the date, she always flakes out. Okay, so, not all women are like this, but some women tease with the idea of, do I want to see you? Do I not want to see you? It sounds like she's nervous. She sounds like the nervous type. When she gets real close, she feels like there's pressure and she starts to back out. Don't get, too bent out of shape about that kind of stuff. Remember, with women, and I know it doesn't seem like it sometimes, especially when you're first dating, patience pays with women. It really does. Talk to a woman, let her have her space. Women are like cats. They need to come and go. They need to go out, come back, do whatever they got to do. I always tell men, be like a mountain. Let her be a storm, sunshine, snow, rain. You're still right there. You're solid. The other guys will end up being snow, sunshine, rain, wind. Emotional like them, the woman will never attach to it. Just be a rock. And eventually, if you're solid ground, she will always return to you. I guarantee it. Yeah, she'll always return to you. As long as you don't fuck up. Like I said, watch my videos. Watch them 5 to 10 times a piece on what to do, how to get the woman of your dreams. For women, what men really want. Like, watch all those videos, but watch them 5 to 10 times so that, like I said, when you're out, it just snaps. You know exactly what to say and do, And once you get trained like this, what you realize, this is what you should have been doing the whole time. So, all right. I'm going to take a couple more questions, and then we're going to close out here. What type of women do I like to date? I like very girl next door type of women, like women who like to just kind of enjoy like sitting back and just talking about life. Like I find in my world, the most important thing for me is conversation. I literally just enjoy just sitting around having good, solid conversation with a woman. It means the world to me. And I always say in my videos, the greatest gift you can ever give anybody is your time. One of the best quotes I ever heard is, time of all is the greatest of all losses because it's irredeemable. And you need to remember that. You don't get, this isn't a dress rehearsal. You don't get to come back in life and do this again. You don't get to look back and go, okay, now I get it, and go back and do it again. You need to get this shit right, now. So you guys are asking so many questions. I can't even keep up on my left side of my screen here. I'm scrolling through. First of all, if you paid, I'm going through yours first. Remember, if I don't click on your question, you don't. I really messed up with a guy here recently. Everything was going good, literally for like a year. Somebody else came back in my life, and it made me take a step back and think about things. Okay, did you actually just think about him and still talk to the person, or did you think about him and exit the relationship? Yeah, okay. She pulled back for like 3 weeks on the guy. She's been dating for a year. Okay, I mean, that's a bad signal. You don't back up on people you've been dating that long. Time, people don't have time. When you're over the age of 30, you don't want to waste people's time. All right, final question. Yes, I'm going to answer your question. I'm clicking for the next question. What I would do if I were you is I would literally go out of your way to let him know how you feel. Don't expect anything back right away. Men typically can be taken back a little bit. The men who jump all over shit, non-alphas, beta males will be all over anything you ever give them. I mean, if you throw a crumb, they're going to eat that shit up. So, okay. Well, you do that. You let me know how that goes. Next session, tune in. She says she's going to call him today and try to go out to dinner with him and be smoochy woochy. Okay, whatever that means, you run with that. Coach, I love your smile. Thank you. Yeah. Am I smiling a lot today? So what's going on? All right, last question. I'm gonna try to pick a good question here. A good one. Let me see what questions you guys are asking. Some of your stuff's. I've answered a lot of these. Go watch my videos. Do you think a couple's finances should be together separate? Answered that yesterday. When it comes to baby question, how do you feel about asking about having children? Well, first of all, that goes back to your core, the core of who you are. You either want to have children or you don't. People who play with it, like I want to have them, but hey, let's wait for this, let's wait for that. And I'm talking people who wait like 2 years to do it with you. Or they don't show much concern when something doesn't go right about not having a kid. They don't really want to have a kid. They want you, but they don't want the kid with it. Okay. Yeah, I actually have a little more time. How important is physical chemistry to you? Everything. Biology rules. Nothing has ever defeated biology. No matter what society we come up with, we constantly break down, change, empires get taken over, countries fall. The one thing that's constant is you're attracted to what you're attracted to, and you need to be as attractive as you can at all times. What's the best gift you can give a partner? I already said that, your time. How do you feel about traveling with couples? Is it good for couples? Is it bad? Look, it goes back to your core. If you're a traveler, you should travel. If you're not a traveler, don't travel. How big of a role does spirituality and religion play in a relationship? Well, it depends on the couple. If you care about dating, if you care about your future and children and religion, well, then obviously if the guy says, I'm not religious or I'm Muslim and you're Christian, that's not going to work out. So I would say it's a pretty big deal. It's a make or break deal for a lot of couples. Should you talk to your exes? No. Especially if you're trying to have children and get married. Okay. When you're young and you're in college, talking to your exes is okay because, you're young, you're free. You're not going to be locked down anytime soon. The more friends, the merrier. Some of them turn into friends with benefits, which I don't recommend. But you can, if you have this one person you met through your life and they were always good to you, regardless of what happened, they only wanted the best for you. They didn't get jealous of other people you met. They weren't trying to destroy things. Those kind of exes are okay. But pick one. Don't do it with every ex that's good to you. But if you had an ex who you had a really bad falling out, and a good example is I had an ex contact me recently, and I'm in a relationship, so I knew that hey, I might give a one response, but even that was debatable because you don't want to open up anything because that's not where your interest is anymore, right? That life is your past for a reason. Remember, your past is like leftovers. It just doesn't taste as good the second time. It just doesn't. What do you think makes people feel most loved? Understanding. How do you feel about being people talking over you? I talked about it yesterday. Watch my video from yesterday. It's about being interrupted. I'm looking for one more good question. Does your childhood have a lot to do with your relationship? Some therapists say yes. Some people say no. Are you asking me a question or are you thinking you know? Has everything to do with your dating. Everything. Okay, I would say it makes up 50% of your dating profile. Science shows that when women go look for their future husband, they look for someone very much like their father. So if you had a very intelligent father who was good with money and a very disciplined man, whether you rebel against that when you're young or not, or meet men in college that make you feel trapped, you will probably end up with a man like that. Okay, 80% of the time, 9% of the time. Men who have women in their lives, aunts, sisters, moms, who are very caring and loving, cook for them all the time, what do you think they're going to want the woman to do? Very reciprocal natured or whatnot. So I hope I answered most of the questions I could get to. There are still 32 questions left on paid session. I will take those into my next thing. I'll pick, I try to do at least 8 to 10 questions a time. I got here late. Sorry for that. This segment went a little bit longer than I wanted it to, but LA Beast joined, and of course, LA Beast likes to blow up my stuff, so cracks me up. Anyways, I hope you guys got all the information you want. And if you have a specific question, you can send it to my link at the bottom of the message. And if you have any questions you want to know rather soon or see me do a video on, leave it in the comments below, and I will talk to you soon.